tonight on Y News. Despite a number of opposition, lawmakers have now set the plenary discussion on the provisions of the death penalty bill. Malacañang clarifies President Rodrigo Duterte's pronouncement of support to policemen involved in the Espinosa slay case. The Commission on Human Rights assures an investigation on at least 400 drug-related extrajudicial killing in the country.
The Philippine National Police arrests the fourth suspect in the foiled Manila bombing incident. Projects under the Office of Vice President or of the Vice President remains even after Vice President Leni Robredo's resignation as the housing czar. The Interagency Council for Traffic will soon open the gates of the Veterans Memorial Medical Center as an alternative route for motorists.
Y News begins now.
Untv News and Rescue Command Center. This is Y News with Angelo Castro III and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. Several lawmakers have expressed their opposition over the proposal to reinstate the death penalty in the country. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Lawmakers are now airing their opposition to the provisions of the proposed reimposition of death penalty in the country. They argued that there is no basis that such a law would be an effective way to prevent crimes. 21 crimes punishable under the revised penal code will be covered by the death penalty bill. These include involvement in drug transactions, treason, qualified piracy and bribery, murder, rape, kidnapping, and serious illegal detention. The plenary discussions on the proposed law is set next week. Senior Assistant Majority Leader Congressman Michael Romero says such issues will be the primary focus of their debate in the plenary.
May variation naman coming from the House na ilimit na lang into drug-related heinous crimes. So, yan pang pagdedebatihan ngayon sa House.
Co-op NATCO Congressman Anthony Bravo is the only lawmaker who abstained in the voting yesterday, saying he still needs to study thoroughly the provisions of the proposed law.
Sabi ko, sa panahon kako ito, siguro kailangan talaga yung death penalty ibalik. But with that, sabi ko nga may mga leaders kami nag-text, pwede ba huwag munang mag-yes?
Meanwhile, Senator Franklin Drilon believes that the government must focus instead on reforming the justice system in the country.
There must be reforms in the justice system before we even consider reimposing the death penalty because of the possibility of errors being committed, and you cannot correct the error when you have already carried out a death penalty.
Nel Maribuhok, Untv News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Commission on Human Rights is unrelenting in its investigation of alleged drug-related extrajudicial killings. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Investigating alleged drug-related deaths resulting from police operations or at the hands of vigilantes is among the priorities of the Commission on Human Rights. Despite the difficulty of gathering evidence, the CHR assures that cases which have reached 400 are moving along. Some of them were filed by the relatives of suspects, but most of them were motu proprio or initiated by the Commission.
That should be enough to provide some initial findings of, let's say, trends, patterns of the extrajudicial killings that were reported.
CHR believes that there really are extrajudicial killings that occur in operations related to illegal drugs.
Kung titingnan natin sa international community, ang United Nations, ang tinitingnan na definition is that any killing that has not been impartially, promptly, and thoroughly investigated when government is in a position to do so.
The commission is also looking into the probability of suspects engaging authorities in a shootout which eventually results in their demise.
Dapat hindi siya napaka-incredible. Base sa ebidensya, wala sa posisyon yung tao na nasa kustudiya nila na lumaban.
The CHR is drafting the final report on the death of former Albuera Mayor Rolando Espinosa inside a jail in Leyte. One of their options now is the filing of cases before the Office of the Ombudsman once they have enough evidence of human rights violations. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Amnesty International urges lawmakers to focus on human rights legislations. Brian De Paz will tell us why.
Human rights group Amnesty International urges the houses of Congress to prioritize concerns on human rights violations in the country. The group condemns the revival of the death penalty bill, which has recently passed the committee level of the lower house. Thus, the group is pushing for 11 legislative agenda that would protect every citizen's human rights, including the rejection of the reinstatement of death penalty, speedy resolution of extrajudicial killings, and the enactment of the Anti-Torture Act, among others.
Paigtingin at ma-ensure na ang human rights agenda sa loob ng Kongreso, sa House of Representatives at sa Senate of the Philippines ay magkakaroon ng espasyo, magkakaroon ng puwang, and in fact, magiging priority.
For their part, legislators pledge their commitment to push legislations for the protection of human rights and vow to block the passage of the death penalty bill.
I am hopeful na mapapatay namin itong reimposition of death penalty bill sa Senado. It's on our kill bill list.
Kahapon ay nanindigan ako laban sa death penalty sa House Committee on Justice hearing. At patuloy ko po itong gagawin hanggang sa plenaryo ng Kamara.
My proposal would be actually to amend the Constitution wherein death penalty should absolutely be prohibited. Because right now, it's not.
However, Amnesty International maintains to remain independent and free of influences from any political party.
We have our own yellow color. This is not in any way related to any political party. We invited every legislators na we feel, based on their records, are human rights advocate.
The group is scheduled to hold a program on December 10 in support to the International Human Rights Day. Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
Senator Laila de Lima will file a dissenting opinion against the report released by the Senate Justice Committee stating that the rampant extrajudicial killings in the country are not state-sponsored. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Senator Laila de Lima and Senator Antonio Trillanes IV did not approve the committee report released by Senator Richard Gordon, concluding that the rampant extrajudicial killings are not state-sponsored. While they have also signed the report, Senator Franklin Drilon noted his reservations on the report of the Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights. Also signing the report are Senators Kiko Pangilinan and Alan Peter Cayetano, but both have expressed their intention to file a separate opinion.
I was wondering why I wasn't being shown a copy of that. It was not routed to me for signature, for example. So pinag-aaralan ko na, and we're preparing already my dissenting report, dissenting opinion, and I intend to submit that Monday morning.
Senator Richard Gordon says that while they have noted the alarming number of killings, there has been no proof that these are state-sponsored.
But just because the policemen are involved doesn't mean that it's state-sponsored. Because ang daming klase. 1999 pa, may extrajudicial killing na sinasabi.
The committee report suggests the creation of courts that will handle cases of erring and abusive policemen, as well as drug-related offenses. However, the report does not contain the testimony of Edgar Matubato about the Davao Death Squad. but it included the alleged unparliamentary behavior of Senator Laila de Lima when she walked out in one hearing and Senator Antonio Trillanes when he purportedly prevented Matubato in being confronted by the other witnesses.
Unparliamentary, may testigo. Maghapon, nakakahiya naman doon sa kapulisan. Kinangaling pa sa Davao. Meron pa mga generals na andito. Sa mga senador na lang, mahiya ka. Bakit yung tatawagin na namin ng alas 8:30? Pinaaluin na ni Trillanes yung testigo.
11 senators or majority of the members of the committee have approved the report, aside from Senators Gordon and Lacson, who headed the inquiry into the extrajudicial killings. Senators Gringo Honasan, Loren Legarda, Juan Miguel Zubiri, Nancy Binay, Manny Pacquiao, and Tito Soto approved the report on its entirety. Joyce Balancho, Untv News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Malacañang clarifies the support expressed by President Rodrigo Duterte for the policemen implicated in the killing of Albuera Mayor Rolando Espinosa. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
But just to tell you, I do not interfere. May findings sila, good. Paano yung kaso? Pero hindi ito ko pabayaan itong mga polis na sabi. Kasi sabi, ako ang may utos eh. Kasi sabi mo, sir, hulihin namin tapos pag lumaban. Baka totoo talaga, dinalian mga tapos polis.
Many have reacted to the statement of President Rodrigo Duterte yesterday, saying he will not forsake the policemen allegedly involved in the slay of Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa. But to clarify, Malacañang maintains that statement of President Duterte is meant to assist the said policemen legally and not to pardon those who will be proven guilty by the court.
The support that the President stated to police officers may come in the form of legal assistance. For the Chief Executive has been very consistent in saying that he takes full responsibility in the anti-drug war, including the acts of his men in line with the performance of their duties.
Malacañang also remains firm in saying that President Duterte has nothing to do with the slay of Espinosa. Meanwhile, although the president is aware of the ouster plot, he is not worried about it.
Not necessarily. The president is very secure. He knows that he is working well. It is not all about EJK. Governing the Philippines is not all about that. It's all about a lot of things concerning the Filipino people and alleviating their plight.
Malacañang denied the allegation that the ouster plot is one of the reasons why the deceased order to attend cabinet meetings is given to Vice President Leni Robredo. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
Senators appeal to President Rodrigo Duterte not to protect the policemen involved in the killing of Albuera Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte must be warned of his recent statements favoring policemen who were recently involved in the killing of Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr. Senator Laila de Lima says Duterte's admission that he gave the orders to kill the mayor can be considered a ground for impeachment. Senator Richard Gordon, on the other hand, wants the president to show that he does not tolerate wrongdoings among the ranks of policemen who should be the ones protecting the people.
He must not coddle them. He must not make it appear that he is engaging in selective justice. All men are equal before the law, and no one is above the law.
Senate President pro tempore Senator Franklin Drilon is appealing for the president to let the judicial process take its proper course now that these policemen are now facing murder raps filed by the National Bureau of Investigation or the NBI.
We appeal to the president to allow the process to proceed. If at the end of the day, if after trial in court, the police officers are found guilty and the president is not satisfied with that finding, he can always pardon the accused.
The Malacañang, on the other hand, maintains the president is not in any way involved in Espinosa's slay. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Police Chief Ronald De La Rosa assures that the president will not influence the decision on the cases against Police Superintendent Marvin Marcos and his colleagues, despite his recent pronouncement. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
The government has emphasized anew that it won't abandon the policemen who are facing charges and cases for fulfilling their duties. Chief PNP Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa explains that is what President Rodrigo Duterte means when he says he won't allow Police Superintendent Marvin Marcos and his men be put to jail.
He just want to ipaparamdam sa kanyang Philippine National Police na I am with you, I am supporting you in this war on drugs.
According to General De La Rosa, the president just doesn't want other hard-working policemen to be demoralized. The chief PNP also assures that the president won't meddle with the results of the cases against Marcos and his men in connection with the killing of Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr. General Bato adds that as the father of the PNP, he won't tolerate erring policemen, but that he would defend them in case they will face charges.
I am here to situate that their moral and welfare is intact, is given proper attention. At the same time, andito rin ako bilang si PNP to discipline my erring personnel.
De La Rosa adds that they will do their best to end the problem of illegal drugs in the country. This is why he is still in full support of his men, but not if they have committed offenses. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
In response to the issue, Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre says President Rodrigo Duterte's statement that he will not allow policemen to go to jail should be taken with his earlier promise of protection to law enforcers who are merely acting on his orders. Aguirre says he sees nothing wrong with the pronouncement of the president since he also told the NBI to file charges if there is strong evidence against the policeman.
Ang ibig lang sabihin niya yun, he would help these policemen so that they will not go to jail. Pinalalaki lang natin to eh. The president is merely exercising his constitutional right of expression. Everybody, every Filipino, including the president, has the right to express his opinion, has the right to express what he is thinking.
Motorists traveling along España going to Moraita and Quiapo, Manila are experiencing heavy to moderate traffic. Aiko Miguel is at EDSA Philam to tell us why, live. Yes, Aiko.
Good evening, Darlene. Motorists are advised to find alternate thoroughfares to avoid traffic congestion. It is because volumes of cars are piled up in most of the major roads in Metro Manila. Let us take a look first at the traffic situation along EDSA Philam. It is convenient for motorists to travel along North Avenue and Trinoma because traffic is light within the southbound lanes. Along southbound of Balintawak, vehicles can move freely since traffic is also light there, while heavy traffic is experienced along its northbound lane. Still, there is a road closure at EDSA Muñoz intersection, which started last October 12, 2 p.m. until further notice. Motorists are also advised to take U-slot instead. Moderate traffic is experienced along the southbound of Kaingin Road, Bansalangin, and in EDSA Muñoz. Motorists will also experience heavy traffic along southbound of Quezon Avenue, Nia Road, Timog, Kamuning, New York Nepa Q-Mart, Monte de Piedad, and in Aurora Boulevard. Also expect heavy traffic in both lanes of MacArthur Farmers, P. Tuazon, Main Avenue, Santolan, White Plains, Connecticut, Ortigas Avenue, and in SM Mega Mall, Shaw Boulevard, Reliance, in Pioneer, Boni, Guadalupe, Orense, and in Kalayaan, Australia. Meanwhile, you can also view in your TV screens the live traffic points. From EDSA Guadalupe going to Shaw Boulevard, expect heavy traffic in the area. And from Orense going to Ayala, heavy traffic will also be experienced by motorists. And from Letre Malabon going to C4 Navotas, traffic is light. And in going to Monumento, vehicles can also move freely because traffic is also light there. From Quezon Boulevard, Quiapo, Manila going to España, moderate to heavy traffic is experienced by our motorists. And in going to Loton, there is no traffic buildup in the area. Motorists don't have to worry passing through it. Learning tomorrow is Friday, and we are reminding motorists that the number coding scheme will start at 7 in the morning until 8 in the evening for vehicles with plates ending in 9 and 0. And of course, we are reminding our motorists to obey traffic rules and keep your eyes on the road while driving. Meanwhile, motorcyclists traversing EDSA and C5 can now also use the leftmost lane and the designated motorcycle lane. So basically, they are now allowed to use 2 lanes. However, motorcyclists traversing Macapagal Boulevard and Commonwealth Avenue will still be using the designated motorcycle lanes. That is the latest traffic update. Back to you, Darlene.
Thank you, Aiko. And that's Aiko Miguel reporting live from EDSA PhilAm. Meanwhile, the gates of Veterans Memorial Medical Center in Quezon City will soon be open to motorists. Joan Nano will tell us why.
Starting Monday, the gates of Veterans Memorial Medical Center in North Avenue, Quezon City will be open to serve as an alternate route for motorists. Based on the agreement between the management of VMMC and the Interagency Council for Traffic, private vehicles with decals or stickers will be allowed to enter the hospital's compound.
From the main gate of North Avenue, then availing the access road of the Veterans Medical Center, and you will be exiting at yung Mindanao Avenue. Now, for those motorists na who will be going to Balintawak and North Expressway, that is the shortest route that they could be utilized, no?
However, the gates will only be open from 6 o'clock a.m. up to 9 o'clock in the morning and from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the afternoon from Monday to Friday. All vehicles authorized to pass the compound needs to coordinate first with the hospital management as well as to the Office of National Defense to get the permit and entrance sticker with a fee of 500 pesos. Based on the study by the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, opening the roads of VMMC will help decongest the flow of traffic, especially in Mindanao and North Avenue areas.
Dito sa data ko, sa umaga, 235 yung kumakanan doon sa kanto ng Mindanao and North Avenue. Sa gabi, 500 plus. So yung around 500 na yon, pwede na, or kalahati man lang noon, is kakana na doon sa gate ng, veterans along North Avenue. Ang labas niya, Mindanao Avenue. In return, madidecongest natin yung kanto ng Mindanao Avenue and North Avenue.
All permits given to motorists will be valid until December 2017. Joan Nano, Untv News and Rescue, Makati City.
Next in Y News. The Commission on Elections says it is ready to investigate violations of election candidates regarding campaign funds only if complaints are filed.
The Philippine Coast Guard receives its second multi-role response vessel from Japan.
Y News will be right back. The Philippine National Police is now investigating the fourth suspect in the foiled Rojas Boulevard bombing attempt following his arrest this morning. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
The fourth suspect in the foiled bombing incident along Rojas Boulevard last November 28 is now in the custody of the Philippine National Police. Authorities neither presented the suspect to the media nor gave his name. PNP says it was he who divulged that another bomb was stored in Bulacan, Bulacan. PNP Chief Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa says the bomb was a 105mm howitzer ordnance which can kill those within its 70 to 80 meters radius, while it can injure those within its 200 to 300 meters radius. In it is a two-way radio which serves as its triggering device.
It can kill around 300 people ang halimbawa isang yung malapit isang grupo na halimbawa nag-grupo-grupo. Basta 70 to 80 meters yung kanyang casualty radius. Within 80 meters doon sa seat of explosion, 80 meters ka, atay ka pa rin. Kanyon, hindi ito mortar.
General Baton notes that investigation is also underway on how the suspect was able to acquire such an explosive which only the military has.
Either ginamit na ito sa Mindanao, pinaputok ng sundalo, pagbagsak doon, hindi sumabog, kinuha na recover ng mga kalaban. Pwede rin merong pilferage sa supply ng military. That remains to be proven kung imbestigahan natin.
The suspect is yet to be presented to the media as he is currently under investigation and interrogation to aid authorities in the capture of remaining suspects. Leia Ilagan, Untv News and Rescue Camp Krame.
Malacañang has issued an executive order creating a consultative committee in preparation for the possible transition to the federal system of government. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldea said during the Senate hearing today that the President has ordered a formation of a committee to review the possible amendments in the Constitution in line with the executive order on the possible transition to a federal form of government. The recommendation of the committee has to be submitted after 6 months.
Basically, it's a consultative committee to review the 1987 Constitution to be composed of 25 selected individuals whose name will be later on submitted.
The Senate today heard in a preliminary hearing the 4 joint resolutions on charter change. Since it was just a preliminary hearing, the senators did not discuss the particular provisions that have to be changed.
The discussion on the substance of the amendment was only brought up in order to emphasize the need to amend the Constitution. More detailed discussion will be held once we have decided to amend the Constitution.
Former Senator Nene Pimentel meanwhile noted that it is high time for the country to shift to a federal form of government. To easily attain justice, Pimentel recommends the imposition of a deadline on court hearings. Meanwhile, the Senate committee is set to conduct 3 to 4 more hearings in Baguio, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro to ask for suggestions and recommendations of various sectors regarding charter change. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The Office of the Vice President assures that private partners of the Vice President's Angat Buhay project will not be affected by her resignation from the cabinet. Grace Casin will tell us why.
Vice President spokesperson Georgina Hernandez assures that the support of their private partners is intact. Thus, the Office of the Vice President ensures that their flagship program will not be affected by the Vice President's resignation from the Duterte cabinet.
Sa katunayan, mas marami kaming natanggap ngayon ng mga tawag, mga text, maraming gustong makipag-meeting na kasi mas nalaman nila yung angat buhay dahil nitong mga nakaraang mga araw. Kaya confident kami na meron tayong sapat na suporta.
2 months after the Office of the Vice President's flagship program Angat Buhay was launched, 28 of 50 local government units already started their projects with the help of private partners. In this project, help from private partners are directly being served to those LGUs. Fishing materials in Agutaya, Palawan have already been delivered for their livelihood. Also, the feeding program in Carael Elementary School in Dagupan City has started. Books were given to the students of Benito Nieto in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, and malnourished children received medicines in Tondo, Manila.
Si VP Lenny, ang gusto niyang siguraduhin namin ay tingnan namin yung accomplishment, hindi lamang doon sa kung ilan yung napakain, kung ilan yung nabigyan ng training, kung ilan yung nabigay ng kapital. Pero ang gusto niya tingnan namin sa level ng paano naapektuhan yung buhay ng mga pamilya.
50 LGUs were initially selected in the program while more than 700 pledges have been received from different private partners.
The program will run until 2018. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
COMELEC clarifies that it cannot just scrutinize the statements of contributions and expenditures or source of election candidates, even if they are public documents. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Commission on Elections maintains that it is ready to investigate against possible violations of election candidates related to their respective campaign distributions in the 2016 national elections. However, Chairman Andres Bautista says the poll body cannot just go through all such public documents without formal complaints filed because the COMELEC is avoiding being accused of partiality or siding with any political party.
Sa COMELEC, iniintay namin kung may magsasampa ng complaint. No? Mahirap na kasi kapag COMELEC mismo ang bubusisi ng mga sose ng mga kandidato, baka sabihin na we are playing favorites. No?
The Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, or PCIJ, has recently published a report on the campaign contributions of candidates in the 2016 national elections. And based on PCIJ's report, wealthy businessmen and famous personalities contributed to the 375 million pesos campaign funds of President Rodrigo Duterte based on his submitted SOSE. For this reason, Chairman Bautista is calling on the public to file a formal complaint at COMELEC so that it could start an investigation.
Kung may mga taong merong kaalaman na merong pagkakamali o may mga kalokohan tungkol dito sa mga sose, dapat sila maghain ng complaint.
On Tuesday, COMELEC and PCIJ will hold a meeting to discuss the media group's basis for their report.
Tignan natin kung ano yung magiging report ng PCIJ. Pakikinggan namin ito, pag-aaralan namin, tapos titignan namin kung ano sa tingin namin ang tamang susunod na hakbang.
Reports on candidates' campaign expenditures are now in COMELEC's Campaign Finance Office. As of now, no candidate is facing a probe because of overspending. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Commission on Elections.
The Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, admits that they are now in a difficult situation after CHED Chair Patricia Licuanan was barred from attending cabinet meetings. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
The Executive Director and spokesperson of the Commission on Higher Education, Attorney Julito Vitriolo, has been in service for 30 years already. During this period, he admits that it is the first time when the Chief Executive barred the CHED Chair from attending the cabinet meetings, particularly Patricia Licuanan. He says the Commission is affected and is in a difficult situation, especially because it needs direct guidance of President Rodrigo Duterte.
I must admit it's really hard to and difficult to work in a way because no less than the President has spoken or has acted on this situation.
He appealed for a clearer situation of the Commission. CHED supervises the higher education sector and ensures quality and excellence of higher education institutions. Meanwhile, CHED supports the anti-drug war of President Duterte. The Commission plans to implement mandatory drug testing for college entrance next year or in 2018.
On the drug-free campuses, we are on the way in developing a policy that will make the drug testing as a requirement for admission in college.
Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacañang.
The Philippine Coast Guard intends to use its newest multi-role response vessel in patrolling Bajo de Masinloc or the Scarborough Shoal. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
The Philippine Coast Guard today received its newest ship, the multi-role response vessel Malabrigo. This is the second of the 10 ships the Philippines has loaned from Japanese government, intended for patrol operations in our maritime territories, particularly in the West Philippine Sea. It will also be equipped for maritime law enforcement and search and rescue operations. Bajo de Masinloc is one of the possible destinations of Malabrigo after its commissioning next week.
Right now, bagamat improve yung sinasabi namin na relasyon ng China and Philippines pagdating doon sa usapan doon sa deployment sa Bajo, pagpapatuloy yung ating deployment at isa to sa maaring ipadala doon para madama pa rin yung presensya ng Pilipinas at mamonitor yung mga fishermen natin na nandun.
Based on the latest monitoring report, Chinese Coast Guard vessels have never left Bajo de Masinloc even when Filipino fishermen are allowed access to the area.
So yung kahapon, ganun pa rin yung monitoring natin. May mga fishing boats pa rin ng China. Pinababayaan na silang mga isda doon, pati yung mga fishing boats natin. Pero meron pa rin presence ng Chinese Coast Guard. Kung di ako nagkamali, 4 yung Chinese Coast Guard at 2 militia vessel ng China.
MRRV Malabrigo was named after Malabrigo Lighthouse in Lobo, Batangas. Its sister ship, BRP Bataha, was delivered earlier last October and is now being sent on patrol missions. Japan is expected to deliver 4 other Parola-class patrol vessels next year and another 4 in 2018. The Philippines has also ordered 2 bigger ships from Japan during President Duterte's visit last October, and these will be delivered to the country in 2020. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Authorities confirm drug traffickers are finding it difficult to spread illegal drugs nowadays. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency says prices of shabu have increased. It is now ranging from 1,200 to 25,000 pesos per gram. The agency says it is a sign that drug traffickers are having a difficult time selling illegal drugs.
It means that the supply of shabu has become scarce. And another one is it became more difficult for the traffickers to deliver their illegal drugs, or it has become more risky. Pag mas risky kasi, mas minus yung nagiging movement nila. So that drives the price higher.
PIDEA's study reveals that in Metro Manila alone, 93% of barangays have illegal drug users or peddlers. For this reason, PIDEA believes it would take a longer time to resolve the drug menace. However, it noted that the job could be easier if the public will help in their fight against illegal drugs.
We are doing our best, but we have to do much more. And then it's something that if we are able to involve the citizenry in this fight against drugs, if we are able to awaken, to educate, awaken, and mobilize the citizenry, then we have a good chance that we will be successful in a shorter period of time.
This morning, PIDEA has destroyed 3.1 million worth of equipment and chemicals used for producing shabu in Valenzuela City. Director General Isidro La Peña and Dangerous Drugs Board Chairman Secretary Benjamin Reyes led the destruction of the contrabands. Among those destroyed were controlled precursors and essential chemicals or CPECs, which were the primary ingredients used for producing shabu. Meanwhile, apparatuses used for illegal drugs were also destroyed through acetylene. It is the second time PIDEA destroyed contrabands within 6 months of the Duterte administration.
We will be relentless, no? Simula pa lang po ito, nagsisimula pa lang po tayo. At ito po is proof na iniiwasan po natin, hindi na po nare-recycle.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The provincial government of Bataan has expressed concern over the discovery of a truck loaded with chemical waste on its way to a dump site in Hermosa. Grace Casin will tell us why.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DENR Bataan is alarmed over incidents of chemical waste being disposed at a dump site in Hermosa, Bataan. This after the Philippine National Police seized a 10-container truck loaded with 9 plastic containers of chemical waste at the local checkpoint. It was discovered that the cargo truck had no permit to transport. The Provincial Government of Environment and Natural Resources Office says the chemicals pose environmental and health risks to residents, especially if they are not treated properly by a waste treatment facility.
Tapon sa isang creek at hazardous waste siya. Depende din sa nature ng materyales. Ang mga posibleng mangyari, magkakaroon ng fish kill kung highly toxic yung materyales.
The agency said such chemical waste must be treated first before they are disposed at dump sites to neutralize their toxicity level. However, the provincial government has no such facility.
Wala dito sa Bataan na accredited na treatment facility for hazardous waste. Ang meron ay sa Metro Clark sanitary landfill.
The police currently have custody of the 4 men who are operating the trucks full of chemical waste. Authorities are also in process of verifying if the chemicals are some form of hydrochloric acid. If proven to be toxic substances, the suspects will be charged under Republic Act 6969 or the Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990. Grace Casin, Untv News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Philippine Embassy in Singapore opens a pre-registration for the upcoming visit of President Rodrigo Duterte in the country next week. Merijo Maleriado will tell us why.
The Philippine Embassy hopes to accommodate the greater number of Filipinos here in Singapore in welcoming the arrival of President Rodrigo Duterte in mid-December this year.
The embassy, led by Ambassador Antonio Morales, gathered representatives from the Filipino community in Singapore to announce other details about the upcoming state visit. Ambassador Morales says they have to launch an online pre-registration as the capacity of the venue is limited. Almost 5,000 Filipinos have already registered in the first day of the registration. Meanwhile, due to the expected huge number of attendees, the Philippine Embassy seeks for volunteers for additional manpower to ensure the orderly conduct of the gathering.
On the scale of 1 to 10, I think we are all excited 11. Yeah, we are really prepared and very much excited to actually see our president.
The embassy also assures that those who will not be able to join the Filipino community meeting will be given the chance to see the president within his 3-day state visit. Meanwhile, Filipinos here in Singapore are very excited about the upcoming visit of President Duterte.
Tayo po ay nag-call ng community meeting at hihingi po tayo ng mga volunteers para sa mga different roles, marshals, mga medics, registration, at sa pag-distribute ng pagkain sa ating mga kababayan na mag-attend ng Filipino community meeting. At the same time, we are coordinating with the venue as well as the security as well as the Singaporean government who will ensure the safety of the president and his delegation.
In the previous presidential election, President Duterte got more than 35 votes in the overseas absentee voting in Singapore.
Muli po, inaanyayahan natin ang ating mga kababayan na sumama sa pakikipagpulong ng Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa mga Pilipino sa Singapore sa ika-16 ng Disyembre mula 6 hanggang 8 ng gabi. Magkita-kita po tayo doon. Salamat po.
Merijo Maleriado, Untv News and Rescue, Singapore.
Coming up, preparations begin for the Philippines' hosting of Miss Universe 2016 beauty pageant.
Harlem Globetrotter star climbs on top of San Antonio Tower to produce one of the world's highest trick shots.
More from YU's after this break. The tail end of a cold front is now affecting the eastern section of northern and central Luzon. Based on Pagasa's forecast, light to moderate rains will be experienced in Metro Manila, Cordillera, Central Luzon, provinces of Cagayan, Isabela, Nueva Ecija, Quirino, and Rizal. Expect light rains in Ilocos region and the rest of Cagayan Valley. Isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail over the rest of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Waves may reach 4.5 meters in the northern and western seaboards of northern Luzon, making it too risky for small sea crafts and sea vessels to venture on those areas. Livestock raisers in Bolivia are struggling to find alternative water sources for dying animals. RC Reyes will tell us why.
A hard-hitting drought is taking Bolivia's toll on livestock and farmers' well outside of the capital, La Paz. In the southwestern department of Oruro, local residents are losing cattle due to lack of water.
Estamos sufriendo de agua potable porque no hay para la gente, para la humanidad, para servirse.
Tapia makes a daily search for water, often in vain, near the dried-up Uru-Uru Lake. Uru is the second major lake in the area to dry up due to the drought. Animals of the region are dying due to the drought.
Estamos viendo de que varias especies de animales en aves ya no se están desapareciendo por el tema del lago. Lamentablemente nuestros animalitos que viven en el agua necesitan del agua y cuando simplemente el lago se va secando, el animalito va muriendo, ¿no? Comienza por sus patitas, se va secando porque sus patitas tienen que mantenerse húmedas, pero poco a poco se va secando sus patitas, empieza a perder fuerza el animalito y es donde muere.
Bolivia declared a national state of emergency recently as a prolonged drought has decimated crop harvest and cattle, affecting more than 177,000 families across the country. Water shortages in Bolivia's cities have also been affected by the shrinking of glaciers that surround cities and provide millions of people with drinking water. According to the Stockholm Environment Institute, 2 big glaciers in Bolivia shrunk by nearly 40% between 1983 and 2006, caused by rising temperatures linked to climate change. Arce Reyes, Untv News and Rescue, Latin America.
Veterans and survivors of the Pearl Harbor attack in 1941 gather in Hawaii and Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. James Buntuyan will tell us why.
World War II veterans gathered to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on Wednesday. Japan's surprise attack at Pearl Harbor killed 2,400 people and plunged the United States into World War II. Many of the servicemen who were killed were aboard the USS Arizona, Oklahoma, and Utah. Fewer than 200 survivors of the attacks there and on other military bases in Hawaii are alive. Wednesday's commemoration in Hawaii took place at a pier overlooking the memorial to the sunken Arizona. About 350 U.S. veterans of World War II wearing lace of fresh Hawaiian flowers around their necks participated on the commemoration.
19-year-old first-class Seaman Stratton had just finished breakfast. When he saw the Japanese plane's topside, he ran to his battle station even before the general quarters alarm sounded. During the attack, Don Stratton suffered severe burns on over 60% of his body.
Veterans also gathered at the National World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. U.S. Vice President-elect Mike Pence and Arizona Senator John McCain attended the ceremony.
America, too, was changed forever. For the events of that infamous day, the day that summoned the might and courage and compassion of the American people to a world war.
On December 26 to 27, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will visit Pearl Harbor, the first Japanese leader to do so. Experts say it is a message Abe wants to send both to regional rival China and to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, who has criticized Tokyo as a free rider on defense. James Bontuyan, UNTV News and Rescue, Washington, D.C.
Fighter jets on a French aircraft carrier take off on reconnaissance and bombing missions in the Mediterranean Sea. June Garin will tell us why.
Right now we are engaged in the operation or OIR operation Inherent Resolve over Syria and Iraq. We've been engaged at the end of September, and we are sending our aircraft, the E2C and the Rafale over the theater, and we are sending we are doing recce missions and bombing missions.
Fighter jets carried out sorties from France's aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle in the Mediterranean Sea. As the commander of the US-led coalition fighting against Islamic State says, the offensive in Mosul could take 2 more months. The US-led Operation Inherent Resolve coalition has been bombing Islamic State positions in both Syria and Iraq since 2014. It is now providing air support and some ground assistance to the Iraqi assault on Mosul and working with Kurdish and Arab fighters who have made advances against Islamic State in Syria. The Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier has been engaged in Operation Inherent Resolve since the end of September and holds about 1,900 personnel.
Il est très important de rester aussi longtemps que nécessaire aujourd'hui pour lutter contre Daesh, pour faire en sorte que Daesh tombe. soit éliminé, éradiqué du Levant. Donc ça, c'est vraiment une étape importante.
Aircraft carrier commander Eric Malburnot said terror attacks in Paris have reinforced the determination of the crew. France, the first country to join US-led airstrikes in Iraq, has stepped up aerial operations against Islamic State, including in Syria after several attacks by the group in France. Jun Garin, UNTV News and Rescue, Paris, France.
Reigning Miss Universe Pia Wurtzbach has arrived in the country to lead a very important task in preparation for next year. Joanna will tell us why.
The Department of Tourism has started preparing for the Philippines' hosting of the 2016 Miss Universe pageant in January. This morning, reigning Miss Universe Pia Wurtzbach, together with the executives of the Miss Universe organization, have arrived in the country. Pia says she is very excited, especially that her home country will be hosting the prestigious event.
I mean, it's very early into the competition. It's not happening until the end of January, so we have a lot of time to promote and to prepare, and that's why we're here right now. Oh, it's going to be special. Of course, it's in the Philippines.
She thanked the personalities and sponsors who contributed for the country's hosting of the event.
We should also give credit to the people who worked very hard in making this possible, the Miss Universe organization and the Philippine Department of Tourism, also the Aces and Queens being involved.
Pia will lead a kick-off and welcome party on Saturday, December 10th. Joining her will be 10 candidates including Binibining Pilipinas Universe Maxine Medina, Miss USA, Miss Japan, Australia, China, Korea, New Zealand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, and Miss Thailand. Miss USA and Miss New Zealand, who are among the candidates, are expected to arrive tomorrow. Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Scholars of La Verdad Christian College make it big in this year's Vision Petron photo and music competition. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Students from various schools across the country showcased their skills at the 2016 Vision Petron competition with the team Tuklas Kapaligiran. The judges looked at this year's masterpieces as beyond amateur level. From the painting category, t-shirt designs, to photography and video making, each entry showed elements of discovery within the different features of the Philippines. Although it was their first time to join, students of La Verdad Christian College have proven what they're made of by winning in 2 major categories. Out of hundreds of entries, one that stood out is the masterpiece of Carlo Canlas entitled Likhang Aita. According to Carlo, it represents Aita children that despite the modern age are still able to make this kind of toy.
May nakausap po ako na isang nanay po na Aita. Ang sabi po niya minsan po hindi po nila alam kung saan po napupunta yung mga tsinelas ng anak nila. Kasi po ngayon po pala ginagawa po pala ng mga batang Aita na laruan po yung mga tsinelas nila.
The entry Tuklas Pilipinas, Tuklas Kapaligiran.
In the music category, La Verdad students were also hailed as one of the 3 grand prize winners with their original composition, Tuklas Pilipinas, Tuklas Kapaligiran.
Nilikha po ng Diyos yung bawat kalikasan, yung makikita po natin sa paligid natin, dun po nakadedicate sa Diyos na siya po yung dakilang may lalam.
Veteran member of the Apo Hiking Society, Jim Paredes, the chairman of the board in the music category, was amazed by the talent shown by the students.
Like merong song na dinescribe parang travelogue, no? Na yung ganda ng Bohol, yung ganito, di ba? Yung different aspects of our tourist sites. Yung isa was about the environment, no? So, different masasabi natin iba-iba yung angulo na tinakel nila. That's why it was very good.
Meanwhile, Petron Corporation is proud that its 16-year-long competition is able to discover new skills of deserving students.
One of our advocacy is really showcasing the talent of the young Filipino. World-class yung ating mga artists.
Thousands of students study for free in La Verdad Christian School, supported by Brother Eli Soriano and Kuya Daniel Razon. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Harlem Globetrotter star climbs on top of San Antonio Tower, which is almost 178 meters in height. Nino Armilio will tell us why.
A Harlem Globetrotter star produced one of the highest trick shots ever made by scoring a basket from the top of the San Antonio Tower in Texas, USA. A video is released showing Buckets Blakes, a veteran Globetrotter, shooting the ball from the 583 feet high tower. Smith explained that from his infancy, the Globetrotters have stretched the boundaries of what is possible in basketball and entertainment. He adds that there's no better nexus of those than the trick shot. The shot was slightly less high than the world record set in September, when Australian Derek Heron scored a basket from the top of the Malvoisin Dam in Valais, Switzerland, a height of 180.968 meters. The Harlem Globetrotters work as a basketball team and as traveling entertainers, having performed shows in front of audiences which have sometimes included monarchs and popes in 122 countries since 1926. Nino Armilio, Untv News and Rescue, Philippines.
Those are the reasons behind the news. December 8, 2016. I'm Angelo, Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Darlene, Basingan.
Because we need to know. We will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News.